Mm, what's good, baby? I got some more shit to talk about. Today, I want to talk to you about a topic. And that topic is where the alpha beta male. Now, I suppose I need to define that term for people so you know what the hell I'm talking about. What is an alpha beta male, Carl? Word describes itself. But I suppose for the lazy and less inclined in our audience to imagination, I'll have to give you some defining terms and qualities and some examples. An alpha beta male, in essence, would be male feminists. But that's not the only descriptor. Those are just people who fit the type and mold. Alpha beta male would be late stage Total Biscuit. God rest his soul. Um, Alpha beta male would be Jesse Cox. Alpha beta male would be any celebrity who takes the position of saying one thing publicly but doing a whole ass another thing privately. Alpha beta male would be kind of like a majority of a lot of the guys who tend to be in live streaming businesses and industries like that, live streaming, acting, voice acting, what you name it, you have it. Alpha beta male, even if you want to go as far as politically speaking, on top of male feminists, it's just any man who feels the need to completely cuck themselves and have no self-esteem or ability to defend not just themselves or their entire gender, and will absolutely believe any lie told to them about us. That's gender. In essence, an alpha beta male is kind of what the thumbnail of this video looks like. It doesn't necessarily need to be a soy swilling Bernie Broish cuck, but the alpha beta male, if you wanted to have like probably the best example of it, would be a good example Adam Conover or Brandon DMI sexually assaulted everybody around me, and I'm accused of multiple crimes of pedestry and general rape amongst women. Nance, who just got banned from Smite, finally. If you don't know who those people are, look them up. I don't have to look everything up for you. You should be smart enough to do that now. But alpha beta males, why are they dangerous? Why is it that, for despite us, we knowing how dangerous they can be, people are only now realizing exactly how dangerous they are? My glass is making glare. The dangers of an alpha beta male should be obvious when you really sit down and think about it, but the danger of an alpha beta male is that you're dealing with a person who understands the idea and the power of a politic. I'm not talking about politics as you know them, about left or right issues. I'm talking about the ideas of manipulation and social engineering. I'm talking about the politic of power. The rules for rulers, as it were. How do you rule a nation? How do you control the hearts of men and women? How do you optically change yourself to look like something else without actually having to achieve the quote unquote status of being an alpha? Which I suppose at the same time, what's an alpha? Well, we want to be accurate and use probably an easily agreeable definition. An alpha would be like Henry Cavill, a man who eats, sleeps, games, and repeats with interluding amounts of acting and gym ratting. He doesn't bother anybody, follows the beat of his own drum. He paints his minis, he plays D&D, he builds a PC on Instagram, and the entire internet is fawning over him while he's wearing a muscle-cut shirt. The women fight over him. Like that Star Wars girl, Jay. And even me. But that'd be an alpha. So, by opposite degree, rather than an alpha beta being an alpha, Not specifically by being a jacked, muscle cut, water cutting behemoth, but rather by being a snake fuck. Being somebody who says one thing and does another, while at the same time trying to hold a shitheel position, looking like what we would usually call a disingenuous fuck. You know, an intellectually dishonest kind of person. Those kinds of people. Those are the people that we consider to be alpha beta males. And of course, the reason why they're so goddamn dangerous is that if you have somebody who will pay attention enough to what people are saying to learn what to do to convince them to join their side for their opinions in any situation, they can manipulate people to do whatever the fuck they want. Doesn't matter if they are actually wrong and out of the way and even outright all the way out of pocket. They will try to find ways to manipulate you to get you to be on their side with what they say. Now, of course, this could be accused of any person who wants to describe an alpha beta male as the opposite of them. But that's the thing. By this definition, you could say that I am an alpha beta male. But the thing is that I'm not. Because it has nothing to do with physicality. It has everything to do with personality and mentality. It's why when we say we have to reset the clock every single time a male feminist is outed as a sex pest, it is because the almost all of those male feminists who are like that are alpha beta males. They recognize that amongst those groups of people, in this case, sex starved feminists, that the ideology that they behoove upon the sex that they are interested in having sex with. You know, the differences between sexual preference, sexual orientation, how they try to move away from using orientation and specifically using preference because preference denotes something that can be changed. Whereas orientation is something that is hard stuck and is not going to be timed to change. You know, the suck the cock you bigot types. But those male feminists, with those feminists in that group, for example, they understand and recognize the women that their opinion of trying to get people to fuck them by shaming them into accepting that body, you know, the fat phobists and kinds like that. They understand that men are not going to be very open to that, and there are going to be some women who are not going to be open to that. They're going to have their opinions and their emotions and their changes. And so, to find someone who will bend, they either find a man whom which they can have bend them over in private, and they get to have the cake and eat it too, or they surround themselves with yes men, do boys, as I would be wont to call them. Surround themselves with these male feminists who will agree with every single word they say and will back everything that they say. And it is useful, and it is the reason why I say alpha, beta, because in most cases, they would never give these kinds of guys the time of day. But because these men are doing what these women want, these women will surround themselves with them because they may also be in the same business and industry of what they're doing. You know, could be an alpha beta, like for example, Ninja. Even though that man has a whole ass wife, he is another example of what I would use as an alpha beta male. He believes all the things that go with what a supposed anti-racist, completely got down with the women, but not accepting that we live in a world where we're not stupid kind of thing would be, right? Gets on a camera, says, hey guys, learn how to not rape women, but doesn't realize or even acknowledge that women rape men, and it's not even legally recognized in many cases, or ever taken seriously in almost all cases. Surrounding somebody in those kinds of guys would then give them an inflated sense of superiority and an inflated status of behoovement, as though the word of that woman would be sacrosanct to god or queen status. And then, when these men do some fuck shit, like sexually predating themselves on other women in these circles, places, and spaces, like they are wont to do, that's when Leigh Alexander and those types, that's when they're going to come out with those tweets saying, hey ladies, did you ever notice that these guys that once were anti Gamergate. Did you ever notice that after Gamergate, these guys started getting close to us, and now they're trying to fucking rape us? Did you know that? Did you notice that, girls? She'll be the one trying to make those takes, and Nina Sarkeesian will be the ones trying to make those takes. Which is to say, Chelsea Van Valkenburg will be that kind to make the kind of take. That is, realistically speaking, the mindset in the operation field of the Alpha Beta. They will study their chosen inner circles and groups and will get close to people on those means and charges to take advantage of people in that fashion. They will use the language of the familiar to destroy things from the inside. It's like a swarm of locusts, to be honest. They learn what wind, which way the wind is blowing, and they go that direction of the wind. If that wind changes, they change. As simple as that. Like a switch. The danger is to recognize the difference between an idiot, an alpha, and a beta. Because realistically, we're all dumb. Like, I'm dumb. But it's a good dumb. Like, I don't need to know everything, but I know most things by paying attention. So, the difference between an alpha and an alpha beta, and just some person who's just a person, is the difference between, do they need to position themselves as being sacrosanct all of the time? Is it a person who uses the status fact that, oh, I have money, I'm actually known, you're just pathetic? Is it that kind of person you're dealing with at any time that you need to make that character judgment? Usually, you can be able to tell the types who are, because they will be highly insecure about these things. Perfect example, D and Brandon, supposedly a man who has all the money, all the problems, but he's just a dick. He's good at what he does. He's supposedly good animus. And I know for a fact, because I used to be a fan of his. Be a very good analyst. Be good at esports. Be good at Smash and shit like this. Have a shit attitude, but at the end of the day, braggadocio is braggadocio. That shit ain't going away. But then you get out it as a sex pest. Taking advantage of your assistant and the living situation that you have her under. She can't get out and away from you. Everybody has the open knowledge and secret that you are on some shit, but you surround yourself in so many yes men and do boys and even associates and friends who could be considered that but aren't that specifically. It just so happens to be they're in that status and they don't know. You know, Pompon didn't know. Lazic didn't know. They couldn't project that. Can't blame Smites. You can't blame Hi-Rez and Titan Forge. Surround yourself in all those kinds of people. You're essentially immune to any accusation and criticism because you can always say, "Oh no, I'm not one of those people. Look at all these people over here. It's not us who's wrong. It's you. You're out of line." That's how they operate and move when they really want to be able to protect themselves from shit. Because it's hard to make that judgment and it's hard to be able to prove it without having shit to prove it in public. If it comes out in public, what was once private and being made public, like all of the facts that this is not the first time they tried to cancel a man like that. That is usually how that goes down. It takes people realizing that you can talk about the problem to solve the problem. I see this happen a lot, especially with hobby culture. This happens a lot with anime. This happens a lot with gaming. This happens a lot, specifically even when live streaming. Very much in live streaming. It happens in content creation for YouTube. It happens in it for Twitch. It happens in it for any other platform like Instagram, shit like that. Those kinds of people with those kinds of attitudes running in those kinds of circles, especially inside of the industry. It's full of snake fucks like that. And they are snakes. 100%. Do not ever be fooled. They are snakes. They will bite you. They will do it because they're a fucking viper. They almost always are striking vipers. It's the overly nice ones you have to be concerned with. Granted, there are a lot of them that could be reasoned with. That's just how they are. You know, you can still disagree with them even if they are saying some blatantly false shit and still be their friend. There are some of these people who are just vile and they behind the venom, behind a cake face of happy fun time posting. We call that positivity bombing. You know, how could I be so toxic? I'm surrounded with all this positivity. I don't do that. That's they. No, that's ignorant. That's ignorant. Those kind of people. If anything, if I'm telling you anything in this video, I'm telling you to start paying attention and be aware. Because I can't be there to tell you about everything. You're supposed to learn these things on your own. So make this a wake-up call. It's on you to be smart. Don't be stupid. Don't get played. Don't let these people play you. Because it can be men and women. Alright. I gotta go do the thing. I will be back. I got more coming up.